the Bowels of Netflix, where your fearless co-hosts Isaac and Larry force each other to watch the worst pieces of shit on Netflix. We will go over every bad edit, all the broken dialogue, all the wooden acting, and laugh along the way, because this is the Bowels of Netflix! Welcome to the Bowels of Netflix. I am Isaac, and with me, as always, is my fearless and shirtless co-host, Larry. How are you doing this week, Larry?
Well, I think I've expelled most of the hate from last week in one big red shit of pure solid vitriol. So I'm back to quote Rob Thomas of Matchbox 20, I'm back to good.
Oh, back to good after a big red shit?
Yeah, no, it was surprisingly easy to get rid of all the vitriol from that. Once it was out of me from Naked, I'm good, man. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, so that's nice. I'm glad you're feeling good.
How are you feeling?
I'm not feeling good. I'm really not. I'm feeling like a walrus.
You feeling human?
Feeling like a walrus, Larry.
Yeah, and why would you be feeling like a walrus?
Because some fucking knob, some fucking dickless asshole made me watch a movie called Tusk.
Oh yeah, he sounds like he's handsome and smart and doesn't afraid of anything.
Dickless asshole. We are the Bowels of Netflix.
Nothing sadder than a dickless asshole.
Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it.
We do. We love you, people.
You can find us online, Bowels of Netflix, at Twitter and Facebook. If you want to send us an email, that's bowelsofnetflix@gmail.com. And make sure to rate and subscribe. We love you.
Listening after last week's fucking debacle of what came out of my brain, then you are my friend for life. You are the ones I really like.
You're a true Bowser.
Yeah. God, that's the fucking name now, isn't it?
It's gonna be. It's gonna have to be.
Bowsers.
Well, thank you for listening, Bowsers. And Tusk is a movie. Okay, so...
A lot of history.
Oh, yeah. Episode 6, we covered Yoga Hosers, which was an awful movie.
Yes. But you mean you.
Yeah,
you covered Yoga Hosers.
Eat a dick. Made by Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith is a somewhat famous director, most notorious for Clerks. 1994 movie. Phenomenal movie. Wonderful movie. Shot on a shoestring budget, and he went on to have a career since then. He's made some fairly successful movies. He did a Clerks 2, he did Dogma, Jersey Girl, fucking Mallrat, a bunch of other shit.
Chasing Amy.
Chasing Amy, that was a big one. But yeah, throughout the 90s and into the early 2000s, was fairly popular. In sort of like an off-mainstream kind of thing. But he has not quite maintained that popularity in the last decade or so.
No.
Yeah.
No. He strikes me as a douchebag. Allegedly.
Yeah, and okay, so I mean he's a huge pothead, so he's got that going for him. Which
that already for me is like I'm a loser in straight edge, and it just makes me go ugh.
I myself have been at one time a connoisseur of the marijuana, so I empathize. But at a certain point, being a pothead, you're just an asshole. Like, I don't know, smoking weed's cool. Like, you hang out, smoke some weed, it's fine. But at a certain point, you're just a douchebag giggling at your own bullshit, and it's not funny. Because you're too high. So
that's the impression I've always got.
And, okay, so, for fuck's sake.
This is a weird one, isn't it? There's a lot of history about Tusk, and not only this show, but my personal life, and...
So, let's do the backstory of how Tusk came to exist, which was the genesis for the Great North Trilogy. Then we'll touch on your personal backstory.
Yeah.
Then we'll get into the movie. So, the Great North Trilogy... 3 movies.
Mm-hmm.
Starts with Tusk, Yoga Hosers, Moose Jaws. Moose Jaws has not been released yet. Apparently, they've secured funding. It's gonna happen. We'll see. We've covered Yoga Hosers.
I'm going to predict that by episode 122, Isaac is going to be reviewing Moose Jaws.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I hate you, but I can't argue with that. So Yoga Hosers came out in 2016. We reviewed it a couple of months ago on episode 6. It was an awful movie. Just a fucking train wreck of Bratzy little miniature Nazis crawling in people's asses. Goddamn bullshit, stupid,
As I recall, surprisingly boring.
Yeah, just bland. Never really funny, and just occasionally over the top of like, oh yeah, there's a miniature Nazi bratwurst crawling out of someone's ass? I didn't ask for this. I didn't want this. I don't know what's happening. I'm not on board with any of it. I don't like it. That's the second movie in the trilogy. The first movie in the trilogy is Tusk, which we're going to cover today. Which there's certainly a lot to talk about with this specific movie, but its genesis, interestingly, is from episode 259 of Smodcast, which is
stupid name
Kevin
for a very successful podcast.
Kevin Smith's very successful podcast called Smodcast. In episode 259, I forget what year it was because you can't backload all their episodes. You have to like go pay for their premium content or some shit. I was very disappointed. But several years ago, Kevin Smith found a listing on Gumtree.com. Some shit. It's some. Do you know what that is, Gumtree? Is that a website?
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah, it'll sound familiar because of the fucking movie. But I think maybe it's some... I don't know, Tinder, but people renting houses before Airbnb. I don't really know. Whatever.
Okay. I don't think you understand how Tinder works, but in fairness, I think you've been married the entire time it's existed.
I want to fuck someone's hole? Is that how Tinder works?
Yeah, you actually totally understand how Tinder works.
Okay, good. I'm gonna go Tinder my wife.
I'm gonna go Tinder my right hand, I guess. I mean,
it's a hole if you dream hard enough.
Anything's a hole if you're brave enough. But anyway, Smodcast, fucking Jesus.
Okay, so on, I guess, Gumtree.com, I don't know, some website, some forum, some weird thing, Kevin Smith finds this weird posting for, like, a living situation. Like, hey, do you want free room and board? Cool. I got a room for you. You just need to live in my house and for 2 hours a day, dress in a walrus costume and pretend to be my walrus friend. And then you can live here, free room and board. 2 hours a day, be a walrus, and then you're good.
I did not know this.
Yes. This posting was fake, so it's not real.
Oh,
so,
fucking, I was just about to say, where do I sign up?
So,
you know how much fucking rent is in this shithole state?
Someone online is, just fucking around, making this ridiculous post, basically posting a fake Craigslist thing for whatever.
Sure.
Just jerking someone's chain. Kevin Smith
knew what they did.
Finds this, is tickled pink. But it's amusing, the whole post, because I couldn't listen to the original episode, but there's a YouTube video which covers the main bits, and them finding this post and discussing it, and then turning it into the idea for a movie is actually entertaining.
I'm sorry, I'm just getting over the Kevin Smith being tickled pink, like somebody tickling his belly, lifting up his fucking hockey jersey he wears everywhere.
I don't want to picture Kevin Smith being tickled at all.
Yeah, you said it. Now I got the mental image.
So he finds this review or thing online. He's very amused by it, discusses it in great detail on his podcast, and in the context of the podcast, it's fine. Like, it's really funny. They're joking around, and they're like, oh, yeah, dressing up in a walrus costume? What's the backstory of this guy who wants to have someone dress up in a walrus costume? And they're just shooting the shit, coming up with ideas, and they make the idea of this movie live on the podcast. And it works. Live, shooting the shit, joking around about it on a podcast.
Sure, I bet that's hilarious. That's basically all Harmontown is, which is one of my favorite podcasts.
Right.
Which is Dan Harmon, the creator of Rick and Morty, just gets drunk on stage with a bunch of his friends and just makes shit up. He basically makes up Rick and Morty, like, on fucking stage, practically. Like, half of the stories come from that fucking podcast, and it's amazing.
Yeah. I've never listened to that. I really should, actually. But
it's a really good podcast.
Yeah. It's like any D&D session. I don't know. You just sort of fuck
absolutely.
around and something gold comes out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the podcast you're talking about, Becoming Rick and Morty, is probably an exception to the rule, where normally you shoot the shit, you joke around, and you realize, okay, there's not that much there. It's not that good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and he makes up at one point... One of my favorite episodes, he makes up at one point the entirety of a movie based on the rumor that during 9/11, firefighters were stealing Levi jeans because they found a fire truck full of jeans under the concourse of the trade towers. And then it was about a firefighter who was returning all these pants to people around the country who had dead loved ones and from the World Trade Center. And which doesn't sound funny until you hear the name, which is Redemption. And I nearly pissed myself laughing. And of course, it was really funny to hear him make up this pitch. Obviously, it couldn't be an actual movie.
Right.
But yeah, that's the same thing with Tusk, but they actually made the movie, apparently.
Right. So, Kevin Smith, who has had a decent chunk of success and fame, basically has enough money, enough connections to think of a ridiculous concept for a movie and then go fucking make that movie. Which is what Tusk is.
Oh, God.
Okay, so, this movie is strangely reviewed because some people really like it. There's some really favorable reviews out there that I've read. And it's mixed on the online stuff. So, Rotten Tomatoes critic aggregated score is 43, which is not great, but not as bad as we've seen, for sure.
No, that's better than normal for this show.
Yeah. And audience aggregated is 36, which is lower than critic, which...
That's not normal.
No, usually the audience, thinks more highly of movies than the critics do. But, for this one, but still, 36 isn't terrible. It's not good, but it's not atrocious.
Again, for this show, it's not bad. It's like a passing grade, almost.
And IMDb is 5.3, which, IMDb is always... kind of skews high, but still, for that middling. It's not terrible. I think Yoga Hosers was like sitting in the high 2s or something, like a 2.7.
Yeah.
So this definitely outpaces Yoga Hosers. Mm-hmm. And the budget for this movie was $3 million, and in theaters it grossed only $1.8 million. So it was
that much.
Yeah, it did not do very well. Yoga Hosers did worse. So I don't know if we're really going to see Moose Jaws. The latest I've heard in June of 2018, supposedly Smith has secured funding for it. I don't know if we'll ever see it. We'll see.
God, I hope so.
Okay.
Can't wait to hear you review it.
So, Tusk. The saving grace of this movie is a Mr. Michael Parks. A phenomenal actor who's had a weird life, and I couldn't get that much into his backstory, but he's been active since like the 60s. There's a few things to talk about, but he's played a few notable roles. He was in Red State, which was Kevin Smith's other horror movie from 2011, which was also kind of a weird flop, but probably more notably, Michael Parks played Esteban Viejo in Kill Bill 2. Which is the weird, Hispanic guy that the bride goes to, who was Kill Bill's mentor.
Oh, with all the kids. And
yes.
the women with their faces chopped up. Yeah.
Yes. He's got like a 5-minute scene.
Okay.
It's only a 5-minute scene, but he steals the fucking show. He just runs like crazy with it. Just the way he talks. Yeah, exactly. Just menacing and creepy, and every word he says just drips with genius, and it's fucking awesome. He also is also in Django Unchained.
Really?
Yes, for a small role, and I had looked it up on YouTube, and it's a weird little scene that you kind of forget about. But do you remember when Django is captured toward the end of the movie by the Australian guys?
Yeah.
And Quentin Tarantino's one of them?
Yeah.
The old man who's in charge of that situation, who's in charge of the two Australians, is played by Michael Parks.
How about that?
And Django ends up...
love Django.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
And this scene, and Michael Parks in that scene is great. He's just this crusty old Southern guy who treats the black people, the slaves, like fucking shit. And, you just hate him so much, and then he gets shot, and, it's wonderful. But Michael Parks...
I don't remember that specifics. Wow. All right.
He fucking blows his scene out of the water. He is a fucking amazing actor, and he did not have a long... he had a long career, but he wasn't... like, these are his most notable roles. Like, he wasn't in anything big in the 80s or 90s or anything. He's been around since the 60s, but he wasn't a big deal. He's really only had fame through Tarantino and Smith in their movies.
Okay.
But he's so talented, and oh my God.
He does a very good job in Tusk.
Yes, he completely steals the show. He makes the movie watchable, basically. But, and interestingly, with Michael Parks, he died recently. He died sometime in 2017, so about a year ago. And according to Wikipedia, he died in his home, but the causes of his death are withheld, and he was buried at sea alone by his wife.
Oh my God.
So I want to know what happened. Like, I'm guessing.
Is hardcore.
I know. He probably had some horrible diagnosis and killed himself. Right? That makes sense.
That's depressing.
He had some cancer, whatever it was. And he was like, okay, I'm out. My life's going to be shit. I'm done. I'm going to kill myself. Bury me at sea, wife.
I love you, wife.
So, that's just fucking awesome. And I want to know more details about it. So, Michael Parks is a god among men.
Isaac, will you bury me at sea when I die of Parkinson's, sir?
Depends what you die of. It better be good.
Rectal trauma.
Ooh, I will bury you at sea, but I feel like we're not on the same page with exactly what that means.
My stepdad has promised me that if I die before him, he will build the boat for my Viking funeral, so at least I got that.
I'll help push you. I'll try to shoot the flaming arrow. I'll miss. I'll be fucking Edward Tully. I'll miss.
I'll be laughing at you from beyond the grave. In hell, well, I'll certainly be.
Oh, God. Okay, so... 20 minutes in. Okay, let's plunge. Tusk.
Well, I just wanted to bring up real quick how I got to this, but I won't take up too much
you
time.
have a personal history. That's right, I'm sorry.
My best friend, Josh, we've talked about on the show. My dream is to get him to do an episode one day. We'll see. His mother watches all kinds of horror movies and is like never bats an eye. She doesn't basically can watch them like with no emotional investment whatsoever. To date, Tusk is the only movie she has ever turned off in disgust. Ever.
Yeah.
And that became sort of a legend around here. So Josh and I watched it and I was like, okay, holy shit, what the fuck is that I just watched?
Yeah.
And then I talked about it at work to a friend of mine, Keenan, who we also talked about on the show, and he absolutely loved it with all of his heart. He bought his own copy that same day to own for himself because he wanted to own a copy. And I showed it to my girlfriend at the time, and she also loved it with all of her heart. and purchased for herself a copy to own.
Oh, shit.
So this has been sort of a legend among the people I know because I've been trying to get it out there as much as possible. So, yeah, I have seen Tusk more than once, but it has been a few years now, so my memory is rusty. Except for, the walrus parts.
I'll refresh
because
you.
It's kind of hard to forget.
It is. It really, really is.
Yeah. So, with that in mind, tell me about Tusk, guys. It looks like you enjoyed it.
So, Justin Long and Haley Joel Osment host a podcast.
Yeah, that's a thing. He's back. This is triumphant return.
Haley Joel Osment, famed 90s child actor from The Sixth Sense and Pay It Forward and fucking Lion fucking something, I don't know. He was in a bunch of shit.
Secondhand Lions?
If you were alive in the 90s and you don't know who Haley Joel Osment is, get fucked. Get fucked. He's now 30 years old, fat and ruddy-faced. And it's weird.
He is those things. When the movie started, I'm looking at it, I'm like, I know that face.
Yep.
But something's wrong here.
You can see the child staring out in stark horror from within his skin.
Yeah. It's like seeing grown-up Macaulay Culkin. It's just
exactly.
not right. Although he's a weird, strange man.
To be fair, we recently in the Canyons covered Lindsay Lohan, who was a child actor who had a lot of problems and is not doing all that well for herself currently.
Allegedly. No, wait, no, she's not allegedly. She is, that's the truth.
And to be fair, with both Macaulay Culkin and Haley Joel Osment, they've both done okay. Like, they're both kind of weird. They're in a weird place. They're not Leonardo DiCaprio, like huge movie stars, but they've had other careers. They've like progressed in their lives and they're doing things and they're not necessarily train wrecks. So I'll give them both credit for that. You come out of being a child star and you can be a successful adult in the adult world. You win the game. There you go.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Okay. So Justin Long and Haley Joel Osment host a podcast.
Boy, they sound like a pair of fucking rubes.
So, and the whole thing is fucking code for the Smodcast, the Kevin Smith podcast. Justin Long is actually Kevin Smith. Fuck, whatever. Ugh.
And Justin Long, I don't know, I don't want to take your thunder if you describe him later, but can we talk about what he looks like?
Okay. He's Justin Long was famous for being in like Accepted, I think was one of his movies, but like I don't know, fucking dumb like late high school, early college movies, young whippersnappers doing the young whippersnapper shit, American Pie kind of shit in the early 2000s. He's since aged a little bit, but he's still generally young. He's under 40, I'd wager. In this movie, he's got quite a mustache.
He's like a tall, spindly, pale pile of twigs put together to be a man with a mustache.
Yeah. One might argue a walrus-like mustache. One could argue that.
I didn't even put that together in my head.
Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you and your tiny little dick hole, you
I haven't
son
seen
of a
this
bitch.
movie in so long.
Ugh. Okay, so
Your hate sustains me.
they're hosting their podcast and they play a video of some nerd in his garage playing around with a katana, and he accidentally cuts off his leg. And it's the worst CGI you've ever seen in your life. I cannot describe how bad. Like, you see the severed veins and the blood spurting, but it's just fucking Microsoft Paint. It's fucking awful.
Do you know how hard it is to cut off a limb with a katana you yourself are holding? You know how sharp it has to be? Yep. The katanas they fucking sell on eBay. I have one in my fucking closet because I'm an asshole. They're not sharp. They're made in Moose Jaw, Canada, which is not a joke for Kevin Smith. I've been saying that for 20 years. But they're not... They're real pieces of crap. So if this kid cut off a fucking leg,
Yeah.
he had to have intentionally done it, pretty much.
Hot load of crap. So, Long, in discussing this kid, says he's going to go to Canada to interview him. He mentions that the kid has more YouTube hits than he does, which makes him weirdly jealous. And he even goes out of his way to say...
You look so pained.
It hurts. It really hurts. Because you know where this is going, because you've seen this movie. And you probably forgot this detail, because I didn't pick up on it until the second time around. He goes out of his way to say of the kid who severed his own leg. And he's jealous of how many hits he has. I don't need both of my legs. I'm not running any marathons.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Foreshadowing much.
I'm glad we didn't talk about what the fucking twist of this movie is, because it's,
I'm so angry. I'm gonna make fucking Justin Long walrus sounds. Arr! Arr!
Oh, God, please don't.
Okay, so the listeners of the podcast are called... Or, I don't even know. Whatever. It's the Nazi Party.
That's so clever and edgy. Okay.
Not Nazis, World War II, Germany Nazis, but the two words not see, as in with my eyes I see. I do not see, I not see.
My fucking God.
Because Justin Long goes to research people for his podcast to interview, and Haley Joel Osment, who's afraid of flying, does not see them.
That's the explanation?
Yeah.
That's the stupidest fucking...
Yep. It's not funny.
That's like if this podcast was called Guy in New Jersey, because one of the hosts is in New Jersey.
Amen. It's trash. It's an excuse for a joke. It's Kevin Smith being like, shit, I'm supposed to be funny. What's funny? Let me think of some puns.
So, quick, someone tickle me pink.
Okay, so... Justin Long, we got a scene with him checking in at Canadian Customs with a big bearded Canadian fellow who schools him about being Canadian. We get a bunch of goddamn fucking stupid Canadian jokes. Like, you have your Canada do's and your Canada don'ts. Fucking stupid. And you quoted this before in telling me about this movie, and I hate you.
Because I say it every time I talk about Canada.
Americans, if you did not know, invented sadness. Because if you look at the Canadian flag, which, by the way, according to accuracy details on imdb.com, the Canadian flag is not represented in the proper proportions, but I won't even get into that. The Canadian customs agent looks at the Canadian flag, a red maple leaf on a white background, and says, Canada, unlike the United States, is red and white, but never blue.
I love that fucking phrase.
I hate that so much.
With all my heart.
No! Oh!
Red, white, but never blue.
It's so
and
bad.
word.
Oh,
That's
okay.
so good. It's so good.
So,
it's the best part.
Long arrives at the amputee's house. He's going to interview him for his podcast. But, it turns out it's the day of his funeral because he killed himself. Funny. So, cut to Long at a bar in Canada, taking a piss. Drunk, miserable, anxious to get home, but he needs a scoop for his podcast. He sees a flyer posted above the urinal. It says there's an old man who's looking for companionship and a roommate. And he has a host of interesting, fascinating stories about his youth and his adventures that he's willing to tell. So, Long, the podcaster, is like, great, fine. This will be my episode. I'll go visit this old guy, I'll get some material, and going to Canada is not a waste of time. Long stops at the A to Z. The affectionate name...
mastery of the language.
The affectionate name for the convenience store in Canada in the View Askew Kevin Smith universe.
Listeners who are listening and can't see, Isaac spent most of the last 5 minutes with his eyes clenched shut and his teeth like ground together.
I'm so mad. So he stops at the A to Z, and we get... Okay, so this is the prequel. Yoga Hosers is the sequel. Yoga Hosers is 2 of 3. Tusk is 1 of 3. But we get Big Nose and Little Nose, who are the stars of Yoga Hosers.
Oh, welcome back.
Which is Kevin Smith's daughter, Big Nose, and Johnny Depp's daughter, Little Nose. And they only have a few minutes, only a couple minutes of screen time, but...
I think it's Kevin Smith's daughter, whose name is fucking Harley Quinn Smith.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Just, oh my god, what a dork.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking naming your kid Khaleesi or something. Go fuck yourself and die.
Yeah, a lot of people, I think the one woman I work with has done that.
Kill her. Kill her, Larry. I want you to kill her.
Let it be known that I will not be killing any women who work with me or near me or... cut.
Larry,
my agent, please.
Larry's a gentle man. He will not kill anyone.
I'll harm myself with great fierceness and furious anger, but never another soul.
So we see Big Nose and Little Nose from Yoga Hosers, and Larry, I think I'm having the fucking rumble of Charlie's machine guns through the Saigon forest, because I'm having flashbacks. I do not want to see these characters again. These fucking petulant, bitchy fucking teenage girls behind the counter at a convenience store. Makes me very upset deeply.
I'm so glad we had like a return to form for the first time on the show, kind of. We actually had like a sequel to a movie that, same universe.
Exactly. Fucking View Askew universe. God, fucking Kevin Smith, you pompous asshole. Okay.
You used to love him, remember?
Ugh. Clerks is great. Okay, so Justin Long
you
arrives...
Dogma for some stupid reason.
Justin Long arrives at a secluded mansion in the middle of the cold Canadian tundra. I don't know, fucking whatever. It's the middle of the woods. And we get Michael Parks, finally on screen, who is wonderful. He's a crusty, creepy old man who acts the shit out of every scene. He steals the show. A lot of times it's overdone, and like the fucking Kevin Smith just writes these like Shakespearean soliloquies for him that's has no place in this movie and is absurd and ridiculous. But Michael Parks delivering them is entertaining.
He makes it work.
It's entertaining. Yeah. It's good. It's good. So he's Michael Parks' character, Howard Howe, fucking whatever, is wheelchair bound. He welcomes Long into his house. Long goes to piss, and he sees on the toilet tank a creepy little doll with like blacked out eyes. And he's like, "Oh god, this is creepy." He takes his hand, turns it around 180 degrees so it's not looking at him. This never comes up again. Why do you put this in your movie if it doesn't come up again? I don't understand. Like, is it to add ambiance? Like, oh, this is a horror movie because there's a creepy little doll. Is that the only reason it's in there? Or was there supposed to be another scene that got edited out? I don't get it. It is really infuriating.
Yes, that's right. Feel the hate for the throwaway scenes. Tap into your inner beard.
Beard. So Parks offers Long some hot tea. While he's drinking his tea, Parks regales Long with stories of his past. He's had all kinds of crazy adventures. They sort of connect, even though they're from different generations, and there's like some gags about Park's willing to be vulgar, and he's talking about his wife farting and all kinds of stuff. That stuff's fine. Different generations connecting, and it's a fairly well done scene. No real complaints about it. Long notices mounted above the mantle is a walrus penis bone. Most mammals do not have penis bones. Walruses happen to be one that does.
Terrifying.
It really is. It's enormous.
It's like as big as my fucking leg, if I recall.
Right, yeah. My wife was with me when we watched this movie, and she just kind of looked over at me in disappointment and shook her head, and was like, I wish you were a walrus.
Poor Kate for many reasons.
She honestly, she only saw the last 10 minutes of this movie, and the entire time she was just shrugging, like, what? What the fuck is this? I don't understand.
It's a weird time to come in.
Oh, God. Okay. So Longs takes the penis off the mantle, is inspecting it, holding it. Parks begins to reveal his strange obsession with walruses. He says, "You'd be right to admire the walrus. It is God's most noble creature. It's far more evolved than any man I've ever known."
When he says known, does he mean, like, biblically known?
I'm guessing. It has to be.
Has Michael Parks fucked a walrus? Let's just get it out there.
That's probably how he died. He fucked a walrus to death.
Oh, dude. What a way to go. Holy shit, I want to fuck a walrus.
So, Kevin Smith, because this movie misses almost everything. It's bad. All the beats it hits are off. But Smith devotes long, uninterrupted screen time to Michael Parks and his rambling monologues. And even though they're absurd and not very well written, they're kind of fun, they're kind of stupid, but they're so entertaining to watch. Just him just talking about being marooned on an island with the fucking walrus. It's fucking amazing. And it saves this movie from being a complete disaster. This is the reason, like, Yoga Hosers is complete trash. This is also complete trash. But Michael Parks lets you watch it and not want to kill yourself.
Yeah, it's more about a creepy old guy than it is about just two fucking boring, pointless teenagers.
Exactly. So we find out, oh goddamn, in one of his stories, Parks was a teenager and he was a cook on a ship at D-Day. I don't think the ships at D-Day had cooks. I don't think that's really how D-Day worked.
Wait, hold on a fucking minute. He was a cook on D-Day. Was it? But no,
well,
you're wrong,
Larry. Hold on.
You're
a moment.
wrong.
Hold on. Hold your horses. Because as a cook on a ship at D-Day, when all the other soldiers are out fighting, of course, left behind, unable to fight, is Ernest Hemingway.
Oh my fucking god, that's right.
Yeah.
Ernest Hemingway was like a medic in real life, wasn't he?
He was involved in World War I, not World War II, I don't think. By that point, he was like fucking shooting lions in Africa on safari or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't he like banging Zelda Fitzgerald or some shit?
Probably.
I'm getting that history all fucked up.
Bang them all. Who cares? So, Michael Parks, the cook on the D-Day boat, where Ernest Hemingway is not allowed to fight, even though he wants to fight, Michael Parks sneaks him a bottle of rum.
Which, as we all know, is like spinach to Popeye. It's how anyway gets his powers.
And according to the movie, a slight smile crawled upon Ernest Hemingway's face, much like a caterpillar, as he drinks the rum. I know. For fuck's sake, Okay, so the cinematography and editing of this movie are actually pretty good. considering the budget's only $3 million, so they weren't able to outsource like professionals. Mm-hmm. But all things considered, the movie looks good. It looks like a real movie. Mm-hmm. So no complaints there. I just wanted to mention that quick.
It looks like a real movie, however...
It's not. No.
Not in the slightest.
Okay, Justin Long's hearing this story about fucking Ernest Hemingway, D-Day, whatever. He's sipping his tea. He gets progressively more groggy. Parks mentions that he was marooned on an island with a walrus, who he affectionately named Mr. Tusk.
Mr. Tusk.
He was marooned on the island for 6 months with this walrus, and during that time he was completely at peace, as he's never been before or since.
Oh my god.
So we cut to Justin Long getting sucked off by his girlfriend. And she stops sucking him off just before he comes, and there's this whole, like, playful banter. Do you want me to fucking finish sucking you off? It's dumb. It's not. It's supposed to be playful relationship shit. It's stupid. It's not good. And she's basically bitching and whining about how he's changed since his podcast became successful. And just all this relationship crap, and he's like, well, I'm the new Justin Long, and my podcast is successful, so I had to do these things. Whatever, they bitch at each other, the relationship's complicated. That's all you need to know. Cut back to Justin Long, awaking groggily in a wheelchair. Michael Parks, also in a wheelchair, different wheelchair, reveals that...
Thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome.
Doctor.
Parks reveals that Long was bitten by a brown recluse spider. And in an emergency, Parks summoned a doctor to the house, and the doctor amputated Justin Long's leg to save him. Michael Parks calls the spider poisonous, and science alert! Spiders, snakes, anything like that are not poisonous. They're venomous. They have venom, they inject you with venom. Poison is different from venom. So...
if it bites you and you die, it's venomous. If you bite it and you die, it's poisonous.
Exactly. Thank you kindly. Kevin Smith, take some fucking notes, you dickless asshole.
I learned that from Imgur.
So... okay, and here's actually a great horror scene. I love, because like the build up to this is like starting to be like a good, legitimate, creepy horror movie. Like you sort of have this beginning bullshit where whatever the Haley Joel Osment's
I know what you're about
around
to bring up, and I absolutely love it.
So Long and Parks are eating dinner across the table. Justin Long's, a few hours ago realized his leg's been amputated. He's kind of held hostage, but he doesn't know how nefarious his captor is exactly, but it's like slowly coming to light how fucked he actually is in this situation. And there's all this tension as he's realizing that. And this great scene where he's like asking for his phone, and Michael Parks just keeps saying, no, the doctor smashed all the phones, or whatever, some bullshit reason you can't contact the outside world. And Justin Long's just realizing more and more, oh shit, I'm isolated, this is dangerous, my leg's been cut off, I'm in serious, serious danger. And he just starts screaming, like in terror and fear, across the dinner table from Michael Parks. And great, I love this as like a horror movie scene.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Parks' reaction is just to scream back. He just screams in Justin Long's face. So Long is screaming like, oh God, please, anyone help me, can anyone hear me? And the terrifying Michael Parks villain just screams back at him like, no one can hear you. You can scream, I can scream, this is terrifying, there's no way out of this. You're fucked. Mm-hmm. We can scream all we want, and this won't help you. And that's just deliciously terrifying. I love that. That's my favorite thing from this movie. That's so horrifying.
And I love what follows that, too. I forgot the screaming. I thought you were going to talk about him getting up.
What is the next scene?
Well, because Michael Parks is in a wheelchair, and at one point, like, Justin Long either's like screaming or gives him back talk, and Michael Parks has been in a wheelchair this whole time. Just stands up and walks over to him and just slaps him in the face.
Yes, I forgot
and then just like
about
holds
that.
his finger right in his face. And that's great because it's also another realization of holy shit, I'm fucked.
Right, yeah, and you've just been lied to this entire time, and now you're the one in the wheelchair. You thought you had an advantage over this guy. Now he has the exact opposite advantage over you. It's really well done. Like, that's
really
great.
Is.
So props to Kevin Smith for some things.
The beginning of this movie, it's not terrible.
The first 40 minutes, there's some dumb comedy bullshit I don't like, but it's
kind of slow. But it's
a good setup for a horror movie. Like, if it had ended differently, it'd be wonderful.
There's a lot of potential here, but it's still on bowels of Netflix for a reason.
Right. And again, okay, so here's the next scene. We cut to Justin Long's girlfriend.
Oh.
And, like, a super close-up of her face. She's like pouring her heart out and just crying, just sobbing intensely, and talking about how Long has betrayed her and is cheating on her, and like she wishes she was dead, and like she's glad her father is dead because he never had to see her betray herself to be with Justin Long, and it's like this intense, like, oh, this is a fucked up emotional relationship. Big, deep-seated problems. And it's like, suddenly you're just cramming this into fucking Tusk, which makes no sense, is completely out of context. Whatever the actress's name is, I forget her name now, she acts the shit out of it. She's fucking great, but it's so weird and out of place. It's just, what is this? Why is this in my movie now? I don't get it.
It has no place.
Yeah,
why? It's not necessary. It's just a pad runtime, I swear.
Yeah, or Smith telling himself, like, he wants to do all these things with this movie or hit all these marks. Like, okay, it's going to be a great comedy. It's going to be a great horror. It's going to have this romantic angle. Like, just all this stuff. It's going to do all these things. And you cram 2 minutes of, okay, fine, we'll have this big emotional scene of, like, a complicated relationship, but then it never develops. It never goes anywhere. So it feels forced, it feels weird, it feels out of place. Like, it's got the seeds to be something great, but it just never does anything. It just feels so empty. Even though, on paper, it's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. It should be. It's not.
So...
It's all building up.
Yeah, okay. And then there's a flashback, and I forget the exact details, but it's revealed that Haley Joel Osment, Justin Long's podcast host, is fucking Justin Long's girlfriend, who's the chick who was just crying. But it's also revealed that Justin Long has participated in serial infidelity and is constantly getting fucking roadhead from chicks while he's out researching for the podcast, and is not faithful at all. So, who do you root for in this situation? Because everyone's being unfaithful, everyone's being duplicitous. Justin Long is an asshole. You don't like him anymore, because he's just a dick generally, but especially when he's like unfaithful to his loving girlfriend, you're like, oh, just fuck you.
Yeah. This is an automatic. Like, yeah, I don't.
But there's no one to root for, because, like, you kind of sympathize with a girlfriend, but at the same time, instead of just saying, well, fuck you, Justin Long, I'm breaking up with you because you're cheating on me, you're an asshole, she's fucking his best friend behind his back, which isn't cool. Mm-hmm. Like, she has her motivations, but, like, no one's good.
No.
There's no one to root for.
No.
Okay.
Isaac, have you been fucking my right hand behind my back?
No, Larry, I thought you were watching. It was in front of you. You were doing the tugging.
You know that I was at the Wailing Wall, and I was moving back and forth, and you took advantage of that. What the fuck kind of joke is that? I'm sorry. Carry on.
My favorite... Well, okay, probably not my favorite, but one of the best jokes ever is an Emo Phillips joke.
He's a funny dude.
There I was, standing at the Wailing Wall, with a harpoon in hand, feeling like an idiot.
That's absolutely amazing.
Oh, God.
Holy shit.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, God.
Oh, boy.
We don't have to, Isaac. We can just stop now. You can stop now.
I gotta get there.
You can roll credits on this.
I gotta get there. We gotta do it. Okay, Justin Long, newly amputee. He's in a wheelchair. It's dark. He doesn't know where Michael Parks, the creepy old man, is. But his phone is ringing. Whatever. Okay, so he grabs his phone, desperately tries to call his girlfriend. He leaves a desperate voicemail on her phone and on Haley Joel Osment's phone. Neither of them hear it. Cut to the next day. They wake up after having just fucked. Whatever. They hear the voicemails, and I don't get everyone's motivation. It doesn't make sense, because... So they both get voicemails that he's in a desperate situation with a crazy man, and they immediately drop all their shit, fly to Canada to save him, even though they've been cheating on him behind his back. Like, I don't know, I kind of get it, like...
What is the whole fucking plot line with the... Why is the cheating thing necessary? What does it
No,
add?
it's not. Nothing.
What is it adding to this fucking movie?
It adds literally nothing other than time, and you feel like there's more of a story.
There's not, though.
No, there's not.
If you want to make fucking Justin Long into like a womanizer and an infidelator, you used a smart word before. I'm going to use a dumb word. An infidelator, and it should, make his, let's call it, comeuppance more gratifying to the audience. Sure. Why do I give a fuck about these other two? What compels me, the viewer, to give a shit about who his girlfriend is fucking?
I just need to interject that you mentioned comeuppance. Comeuppance that pussy. Oh, yeah.
Thanks?
I had to. I'm so sorry. That...
You're married and I'm gonna die alone. Let me fucking ruminate on that for a little bit.
Most of my enjoyment of the world is making puns that pisses off my wife. So comeuppance that pussy is gonna anger her. So I have satisfaction.
Great. I'm in your wife's camp on this one, you fucking knob.
Comeuppance that pussy. Okay.
I am gonna use it though.
Okay. Oh, God. Okay. Ugh. So here we go. Larry, I know you've seen this, but I want you to strap in.
Yeah.
I want you to be ready, because this is the most alarming 5 minutes I've ever seen in a movie, ever.
I've seen this, what you're about to talk about, a couple of times. And every time, I still can't quite believe it.
So we cue...
Just don't.
Classical music on a record player. We see projected on a screen somewhere black and white footage of a beach with seagulls. We see a colorful beach ball floating on an inky black void of water, and then slowly panning across and gently revealing. We see shackled in chains Justin Long, who is now a walrus. A horrifying monstrous... Excuse me, I'm dying. A horrifying monstrosity
so fitting.
of a walrus. He has been... his legs have been cut off below the knee and have been sewed together to form like the flipper tail. His arms have been sewed up against his side to create flippers. His tibia bones have been jammed into his jaw. And a bunch of other flesh and skin and random things that we don't understand has been all sewed into him. So he has the shape of a walrus, but it's horrifying, and you can barely recognize... Because Justin Long, the actor, had to be in a walrus suit to film this. you can barely recognize his face inside the suit. And again, notch for cinematography, because like you're slowly revealing this, you're gradually kind of getting it, everything's swelling, everything's building, and then bam, the shot is up on his face and then zooming out really fast to this broad shot of his entire body. And that is a great example of cinematography. It's perfect for the scene. It's a stupid scene. It's awful. It's the worst. But cinematographically, if that's a word, it's done well.
Oh.
And then Justin Long, the walrus, screams over and over and over and over again in pain and horror and agony. And it's just over and over. Ah! 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 Non-stop. It drives you crazy.
And audio is one of the most unsettling things I've ever seen.
It's really uncomfortable.
It's something is just wrong looking at it.
Visually, I was like, okay, this is comical. This is ridiculous. I'm not grossed out by it, but just him screaming over and over and over again was really unsettling and weird and creepy and just made me not feel good.
No.
So, I mean, that's the crux of the movie. That's the big reveal. That's the why this is a movie.
He's just a fucking walrus now.
Yeah. So, and it's entertaining. It's horrifying, and I don't know, because this is a horror comedy. I don't know what it's angling for more. Like, the first half is like a decent horror movie, and it carves that path out reasonably well, but then, especially once you see the walrus suit, it's so weird and bizarre and comical that it stops being scary, and it's just gross, but it's not funny ever. It never straddles a line of, like, what it wants to be. It's just lost in itself, like, trying to do all these different things. I don't know. And
it just goes off the fucking rails when there's a fucking walrus.
Yeah, yeah. The first hour, cause it's about an hour in. Minute 56, 57 is when we get the walrus reveal. So we have about an hour of movie that's understandable, and then it just plunges off the cliff into chaos. So, girlfriend and Osment show up at a Canadian police station, desperate to rescue Justin Long, based off his voicemail. The police chief, who, by the way, plays the villain in Yoga Hosers.
For real?
Yeah. Yeah. He points them in the direction of Guy Lapointe. Guy Lapointe is played by a Mr. Johnny Depp.
Oh, God.
A famed actor. And he shot, which I'm impressed by the fact that they accomplished this. He shot all of his scenes in this movie, which amounts to maybe not more than 20 or 30 minutes, but shot all of them in 2 days. Because it was like, yeah, okay, fuck, I'm filming Pirates 9, and then I'm, going on Ellen, whatever. I got a weekend, let's fucking make a movie. And they filmed enough scenes with him as Guy Lapointe to make a movie in 2 days, so I'll give them credit for that. I'm surprised they made that work. But if he's featured prominently in Yoga Hosers, he's a weird French-Canadian detective who's got this ridiculous accent and mustache, and he's quirky, and sometimes he's funny, but most of the time it's just kind of falls flat. It's not good.
Now, Isaac, let me clue you in on the real reason I had you watch Tusk. And I have kept this from you this entire time.
No.
Back when you watched Yoga Hosers, you asked me about Tusk related to Guy Lapointe. You said, "Hey, when you watch Tusk, did his mole change places on his face every time it was shot?
Right.
And in that moment, I said, I don't know, I'll have to watch it again and think. And in that moment, I thought to myself, oh yeah, I've got a whole angle now for when I make this motherfucker watch Tusk. So, Isaac, does his mole change positions? Let's answer a 6-month-old question.
I completely forgot about that, and I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. Oh. In Yoga Hosers, it very annoyingly does change place.
You better check again.
So I'm assuming it does.
I don't know. I didn't fucking watch this shit again.
You fucking asshole. I hate you.
No, I wanted you to answer this shit.
Fucking choke on a dick. God damn it.
Oh, you gonna leave me hanging like that?
Yeah, I'm gonna. Fucking. You can hang dong like James Dean and the Carrions. Fucking...
Allegedly hang dong.
No, he definitely hung dong. I saw that Wong.
Yeah, but is that you? I saw that Wong.
It was CGI. It wasn't really his dick.
Stunt cock.
I love how that lives along.
I hate that
for
fucking
you.
movie, but
I know. I can't wait for that to come on Netflix.
God, I never fucking asshole, Matt dickhead.
So we get a weird flashback to Guy Lapointe, like meeting up with Michael Parks, who's the villain. But Michael Parks is playing like a Rube Hick Canadian. And he plays the role great. Like, he just completely transforms into a different character. And again, just more testament to his ability as an actor. And the scene, and you know, Depp as Lapointe is mostly kind of stupid, honestly. Every once in a while there's a chuckle. But him alongside Parks is a nice scene. It's entertaining. It's almost scary, kind of. You're kind of wondering what's going to happen. Generally, it's a good scene. It's done well. And basically, Guy Lapointe is on the trail of this guy who's been killing a bunch of people and turning them into walruses.
Let's pause for a moment and consider our lives here.
I don't want to do that. Because I feel like it's not going to go well, and then I'm just going to hang myself in the garage.
Nothing good can come of it.
So Lapointe's on the trail, and Michael Parks playing a character throws him off the scent, basically. Even though the famous hockey player Gregory Gumtree, which Lapointe mentions his name like 18 different times just to say Gregory Gumtree, because that's funny, I guess. But also, I think the website that Kevin Smith originally found the posting of the guy with the walrus thing that inspired the movie is called Gumtree.com. So it's all a big fucking stupid circle of shit. Oh. Anyway, Depp is close on the trail but misses out, whatever. Loses track of Parks, and he regrets it. And he's telling this to Haley Joel Osment and the girlfriend in a fast food restaurant. And it's kind of funny because he, in horrifying detail, describes what this serial killer does to his victims, being completely callous to the fact that the victim's girlfriend and friend are the people listening to this. So it's kind of funny, like, oh yeah, they cut off their hands and fucking cut holes in their face and just all these horrifying things, while the Haley Joel Osment and the girlfriend are just, you know, horrified, and Guy Lapointe's just eating a hamburger and completely nonchalant about it. So, yeah, kind of funny, whatever. Overplayed, but fine. Let me see where I am. I want to die. Michael Parks, in his aquarium dungeon, leans back against Walrus Long, who, Justin Long, but now a walrus. I'll be referring to him as Walrus Long. Leans back against him and sings him a love song. And there's a whole scene where Parks shoves Walrus Long into the water and says, now that you're a walrus, you better learn how to swim. He starts swimming, he's panicking, he sinks, he sees a skeletized walrus corpse at the bottom of the tank, and then, I don't fucking know. Parks chucks Walrus Long a mackerel. It's like, you must be hungry, here's dinner. And then through a porthole in the door, he watches as Walrus Long eats the mackerel raw. What is happening? We get a flashback to Justin Long at the A to Z convenience store.
My microphone was muted for 2 minutes. I fucking hit the button like a stupid idiot. Oops.
So good.
You just missed me laughing at you a bunch. So I guess you win, technically.
Yeah. I feel less mocked than I would otherwise.
You were, just in the quiet silence of my brain.
So we flash back to the A to Z, and we see the yoga hosers, Big Nose and Little Nose, being bad employees and making fun of Justin Long when he stopped in there to get a drink before heading to the evil guy's mansion in the first place. And they hold up combs, mocking his mustache. The combs on fucking stupid. I hate everything.
Isn't it good to see old friends again?
It's not. I don't know why we started this podcast. I just wish you were dead to me. When you were suffering through Naked, I felt lively. I felt joy. And now I have this deep, crushing emptiness and loneliness about me that just the world is not a good place to be.
It's not. You should try it as a walrus, maybe.
Fuck you. Fuck you and your dickhole. Okay, so Michael Parks swims naked with Walrus Long. Whatever.
The fuck?
Justin Long as a walrus. A horrifying monstrosity. Swimming naked in the inky black pool. Through flashbacks and conversation, it's revealed that while Michael Parks was marooned on the island for 6 months with Mr. Tusk, who was a better friend to him than any human ever was, in desperation, Michael Parks killed and ate Mr. Tusk, the original walrus. The OG walrus.
The OG walrus.
And as he was devouring the fresh, still warm flesh of Mr. Tusk, a ship arrived and rescued him. So, now it's revealed, instead of just seeking the companionship of Mr. Tusk, his walrus friend, whom he lost so many years ago, Michael Parks is actually guilty for killing Mr. Tusk when he didn't have to. So,
remember when this movie started out with like 2 guys doing a podcast?
I remember. I really remember.
Hey, audience, remember when this podcast had like 20-odd episodes with 2 guys doing a podcast and then one mysteriously disappeared and was replaced by walrus screaming noses?
If I kill you, I'm going to eat you.
The real...
Those...
I'm somewhat honored.
Like, honestly, if I ever murder someone, I'm gonna eat him. Because, like, you get to that point, you might as well.
I mean,
right?
Yeah, you've killed them. Well, fuck it. What's the difference now, right?
Yeah, basically. You might as well, but okay, well, I know what human flesh... And then you could, in prison, be a badass. Be like, oh, yeah, I'm a cannibal. And people might, not fuck you in the ass as much. I don't know. I don't know how prison works.
Clearly.
Okay, so, Michael Parks, consumed with guilt for killing and eating Mr. Tusk when he did not need to because he was rescued mere hours later. The entire reason he has been desperately trying to create a man-walrus hybrid is to exercise this guilt. And Justin Long, apparently as a Walrus Long, is a success. So Michael Parks, who is now dressed in a walrus costume.
Made with people,
looks like the flesh of Walrus Long.
You're really verklempt.
initiates a fight with Walrus Long. And they're going to fight to the death. And this is Michael Parks giving Mr. Tusk, because Walrus Long in Michael Parks' head is now Mr. Tusk again. He's referred to him as such. So now Mr. Tusk has the opportunity to fight back against Michael Parks, which the original Mr. Tusk, the OG Mr. Tusk, didn't have on the island, marooned as such. I really don't know. I really don't know what's happening. So they start fighting, and it's as ridiculous as you can imagine, because it's two grown men stuffed in like a 400-pound shitty walrus suit. So it's not a fight. They're not like dealing blows. They're just waddling around and like banging their heads into each other. Mm-hmm. And it looks ridiculous. It looks awful. Eventually, Michael Parks says his survival instinct is kicking in. So he strips off the walrus costume to fight as a man. So what was the point of the walrus costume in the first place if you're...
Also, this has always bothered me. He wanted to give Mr. Tusk a chance to have a fair fight, right? Mm-hmm. The fight was always between a man and a walrus.
Right.
Why did he dress himself in a walrus costume?
It makes no sense. It wasn't... The original fight with OG Tusk was not walrus. It was man walrus.
He also just had a spare walrus outfit. He fashioned a human walrus. And he also fashioned a human walrus exact replica suit that he himself could comfortably fit in.
Yep. Yeah, he did. He done did.
Complicated plan. Lots of layers.
So Michael Parks strips the costume.
Is this
his
what
survival
happens when you
instinct?
Smoke weed? Is this what I've been missing out on? Because, golly.
Yeah, Kevin Smith smokes too much pot. I'm pretty confident in that.
Christ.
Okay. Fuck's sake, I can't do this. I want to die. I don't want to... Okay. Michael Parks gets rid of the costume. He's a human now. I forget, does he pull out a knife? I don't remember. Whatever. He's gonna kill... No.
He pulls out the walrus penis.
Oh, fuck me.
I didn't forget that part. Because he's got the walrus penis in the suit with him.
So he's gonna stab Walrus Long to death with the fucking walrus penis bone, apparently, I guess. Meanwhile, Guy LaPointe, Haley Joel Osment, and girlfriend have tracked down where all this is going on. They found the estate, and because Johnny Depp only had 2 days of filming, like, you see the three of them, like, walking through the woods up to the mansion, and then you get a bunch of scenes of just Osment and the girlfriend, like, navigating their way through the mansion to find where the secret lair is without Guy LaPointe, because Johnny Depp was too fucking busy to film these stupid scenes.
Yeah, filming actual fucking movies, like Pirates 5.
Oh, God. Actual...
You didn't have to fucking watch it, you knob.
Yeah, true. Good point. So, they're closing in on this weird walrus lair where the fight to the death is occurring. Walrus Long, his survival instinct is kicking in. And he impales Michael Parks' foot with his walrus tusk, which, if you'll remember, is fashioned from his tibia. And then, with his tusks, Walrus Long stabs Michael Parks to death in the chest over and over and over again. And he bleeds out and peacefully says some shit like, Mr. Tusk, you finally got your opportunity. What? Some dumb fucking shit. I don't remember. Do you remember? It's stupid.
No. Fuck
it's
no.
Nothing. It's trash. I hate it. Okay. Right. So, he stabs fucking Parks to death, and then immediately Haley Joel Osment and girlfriend burst into the scene and see him as a walrus, his face all bloody. We get a bunch of close-ups of his bloody fucking stupid face in the stupid walrus suit with the stupid tusks.
It's
and
so...
fucking screaming noises again. It's just horrifying and gross. Girlfriend and Osmond are staring at him in stark horror, unable to process what's going on.
I mean, in fairness, that's a pretty...
Right, yeah, I can't blame
reaction.
them. But I don't get this. Okay, so LaPointe, back on set, pops up from behind them with his shotgun, and very dramatically, as Justin Long Walrus hybrid is screaming in terror and agony with blood all over his face, having just murdered Michael Parks, Guy LaPointe raises his shotgun and stares down the sights. He's going to kill Walrus Long, put him out of his misery, but we cut. He's staring down the sights, we cut. That's it, cut. We don't get a gunshot, we don't get anything. Cut to the final scene of the movie. At a little fucking Canada nature preserves, little tiny zoo, whatever. There's a fucking walrus exhibit. Surprise. And we get this backstory, the fucking flashback to girlfriend who's acting her fucking tits off because she's actually a good actor, which seems really out of place in this movie because of all the shit. And she's telling this story to Justin Long, who's still a human, not a walrus, about how her grandfather, when her grandmother died, started crying and was like, oh, it's good to cry. Tears separate us from the animals. That's how we know we're human. And she shows up with a package wrapped in newspaper. And at this point, my wife Kate and I were watching this together. And she had seen the last 10 or 15 minutes. And we both thought wrapped in the package was the walrus penis. But alas, we were mistaken because it's a mackerel, a raw fish. And she chucks it into the walrus exhibit. And Walrus Long flip-flaps out of his fucking igloo and starts eating the fish. And Haley Joel Osment and girlfriend are staring down at him. And girlfriend is crying and gets all emotional and says, I love you. I'll never forget you. And we see, separating him, Walrus Long, from the beasts and making him a man with a soul, we see sliding down his deformed walrus cheek one single tear. And that's your movie. That is Tusk.
You forgot the one thing also with the tear. He's still
no.
screaming.
Oh, yeah. He's screaming. From minute 56, he's screaming the entire time.
Yeah.
He never stops
If
screaming.
he's on screen, he's just screaming. Because his vocal cords are gone or his tongue's cut out or some shit. But in that last scene with the... Because this was the part where I was like, the fucking acid tab dropped for me. Was, as he's crying, he screams, I love you. With no tongue or no vocal cord. He like tries... Yeah. It's just constant. So, yeah.
That was Tusk. Holy shit. I don't know if Moose Jaws is gonna see the light of day. I kind of hope it doesn't. I kind of hope it does.
I hope it does.
But wow, this and okay, so like overall, like Yoga Hosers was trash. Nothing good about it. There's absolutely nothing good.
Didn't sound like it.
Was not for a moment a good movie. Tusk hit its beats. Michael Parks killed it. Mm-hmm. It had great horror scenes where you felt legitimately creeped out and afraid, and you sort of empathized with Long, even though he's a douchebag character. You don't really know who to root for through the whole thing, and it shifts between comedy, whatever. Better than Yoga Hosers, Johnny Depp as Guy LaPointe hits some jokes. He can be funny. Mostly it's not. Mostly it's just weird. And you're like, why is Johnny Depp doing this accent? I don't get it. And it's so over the top and everything. But yeah, so overall, like, this is a much, much better movie than Yoga Hosers. Like, Yoga Hosers, 1 out of 10. Barely. This, maybe maybe a 3, maybe a 4. Like, it's weird and it's trash, but there's enough stuff that some of it works. It's just weird.
It's so weirdly unique. I don't know what to think of it. I've never been able to figure out what to think of it.
Yeah, and like the ridiculous over-the-top walrus shit, which I don't really like. But yeah, like you said, unique. There's nothing like it.
No.
Yeah. And in an interesting way. Like yoga hosers, yeah, fucking Bratzies in people's asses. Yeah, no one's done that before.
But it's just a bunch of little monsters. It's not like anything. Like Tusk it's like almost good, but it's so almost good that it turns bad. Like it had to crest the hill or it lost all momentum, and it just plummets down that fucking hill.
Right, and I'm curious how much of it is my perspective, because I've talked about, like, especially with movies you grew up with, like I have a certain nostalgia boner for, like, Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, like early Adam Sandler stuff. Like, I know those are not good movies.
Right.
They're demonstrably bad movies. But I love them. I enjoy them. I can watch them over and over again. Mm-hmm. If I had seen Tusk when I was 16, maybe I'd feel the same way about it. I really don't know. I might have that, like, oh, well, okay, yeah, fuck it. This is just a ridiculous movie. We don't care about it being a good movie. It's just over the top. It's fun. It's funny. It's ridiculous. We're just going hog wild. And we'll get behind that. I can't do that now with it. I'm not in that place. I can't have that relationship. I just hate it. But
no, it's just it doesn't quite get there. And just because of the nature of what it is, it's like you can't just be like, it doesn't get there, but you know what? Okay. It doesn't get there, and I therefore reject it in all force.
Right, yeah.
I knew this one was not going to be one you viscerally hated, but I needed you to see the walrus parts, because it's affected my life in strange ways.
Absolutely. I'm glad I saw this, because this is interesting, and I like to, because I don't know, I watched a lot of early Kevin Smith stuff. I haven't kept up with his career in the last decade and a half.
You're welcome.
Other than Yoga Hosers and Tusk.
You're welcome.
But it's interesting. And he's been in the news recently because he had a heart attack and he's been losing weight and getting healthy again. So hopefully he doesn't die, even though he probably deserves to, because fuck him.
Allegedly.
But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, and to be fair too, because like the genesis of the story was from the podcast and just dicking around. If I had enough money and connections to make whatever movie I wanted to, I'd probably make some shitty movies, honestly.
Oh, yeah,
I'd probably
for sure.
run with some dumb thing we came up with. I'd probably make the Spaghetti de Coco story.
Dude.
I'd make like a fake document, like a mockumentary about Spaghetti de Coco, and it'd be awful.
We please do that.
I want to. It's not going to be good.
I want to. I feel like the biggest irony is if we can somehow make more money off of Spaghetti de Coco than Spaghetti de Coco made off of Airbud. That's all I want.
That would be success. That's how we know we've made it.
So Tusk, yeah. I didn't expect vitriol this time. I'm kind of okay with that, because I feel like you needed to have this baseline of Tusk being a thing in your life. So
I don't think I've quite had, because I've had movies that have, hit their marks and had good things about them, but I've not had one movie so polarizing in when it's good, it's good. Mm-hmm. It's really good. It hits its marks well. And when it's bad, it's fucking ridiculous and awful and over the top and a train wreck. Like, just those, like, shifting, but, like, between 60 seconds of screen time, between...
It's just whiplash.
Yeah. But yeah, like, the overall problem is Kevin Smith didn't know what this movie was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. I don't know, and maybe he was trying to be clever because it's going to be a bunch of different things. I don't know, but I feel like any project needs some kind of voice. Like, to be somewhat consistent. And like you could have more, like you could have a drama that's also funny, or something, or a horror movie that's also funny, whatever it is. You can cross those streams, but like you need one overall feeling for your project. Yep. And if you're just snapping back and forth between feelings, the audience just gets lost and doesn't know how to react to anything within the context.
Because what is this? Horror, comedy, drama / romance?
Right, yeah.
Kind
and
of?
Just and the relationship shit, like the love triangle with Ozma and the girlfriend, never goes anywhere.
It's just for runtime. It's just padding, and that's my fucking biggest pet peeve. Which is definitely the proper inflection to use. Pet peeve.
Pet peeve. And the girlfriend's fucking scene where she's just crying into the camera is brutal and acted phenomenally, and just feels so lost and weird in this movie. Like why couldn't you do this in Schindler's List 2, Electric Boogaloo? Like, why is this Tusk? This belongs in a better movie.
Well, please describe the plot details of Schindler's List 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Well, Donald Trump gets elected president.
Okay, well... God. Well, this is an odd two-bit of movies. If you put these two movies on paper, and you compared Tusk and Naked, and you said, all right, we're going to give them to your... We're going to find this podcast. We're going to give them to two guys of relatively middling to high intelligence and see which one inspires more unrequited hate. I'd have lost money on this. But
there's a lot of hate.
We look onward to the future.
Yes, we do. And in such, Mr. Larry.
Oh.
Next week, episode 23, airing on Sunday.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't say
I did not do much research. I usually do a fairly deep comb through Netflix.
How the fuck do we keep getting on these same fucking wavelengths? I had no time to do any research either. Go on.
If we pick the same movie,
it's almost...
Eventually that's gonna happen.
Oh, yeah.
And then we both have to review it.
Yes.
And just have that be a special episode.
Absolutely.
So this movie, I have a question.
No, I don't have an answer.
How attracted are you currently
Oh, shit.
to Selena Gomez?
I don't remember who she is. Was she the little Disney star who dated Justin Bieber, right?
Yes.
I don't know
what she
looks
looks
like.
Early 20s and kind of Hispanic, cute face.
Let's pull up a picture.
Very fuckable.
Thank you, Casanova.
But she's, I, in my estimation of popular society, she's one of the hotties. She's like in the top 10. Like teenagers want to fuck her.
She looks like she's 14.
Okay, well that's the thing. She's in her early to mid 20s now.
Okay.
The movie you're watching is called Another Cinderella Story.
Oh no! What is that?
From 2008, starring Selena Gomez as, I'm guessing, a 14-year-old.
No.
So you best not be sexually attracted to her, Larry.
No worries. No, wait, that's not it. Oh no, it's another sequel. Why are you like this? Why are you like this? Who hurt you?
I didn't realize it was a sequel. But, oh my god, I watched a minute of this, and I hated myself for putting it on the TV.
Oh.
It's so bad looking.
Stop.
It appeals to shitty 8-year-old girls.
Smitten with an enchanting mystery girl at a masquerade ball. At a masquerade ball, a teen pop sensation sends out to find her after she inexplicably flees at midnight. Who hurt you that you're like this? Is this Disney again?
It probably is. I think Gomez is
you-
bound and sold to Disney.
Can you fuck right off with this Disney shit?
It's hard to find movies that aren't Disney.
That are...
This one was too good.
No, I don't think it's...
If I'm giving you movies that aren't Disney, like it's gonna be a horror movie. I don't know what else to do that's not Disney.
I actually don't think this is Disney, thankfully. It's got... fuck.
I want to find a good Nicolas Cage movie for you. That's in my back pocket too. I just don't know which movie.
I like a lot of his movies, so tread carefully. Tread carefully.
Oh God. God.
Just for the sheer ridiculous. Now, Wicker Man is lunacy. Have you ever seen Face Off?
No, is that a hockey thing?
No, not at all. It's like an action.
What?
It's like a shitty '90s action movie. John Travolta and Nick Cage. I don't know if it's on
Ew.
Netflix. It was at one point. They're like a cop and a villain chasing each other, and through nonsense, their faces get swapped. So in the middle of the movie, John Travolta's pretending to be Nick Cage as Nick Cage, and Nick Cage is pretending to be John Travolta as John Travolta. It's ridiculous.
What is this?
I want to take his face off. But that's not what you're watching. You only wish. Face Off's a good movie. Christ. Are you... I don't want to watch another Cinderella story. Why? God fucking damn it. With these kids movie shit. Well. Alright. Wait, okay. This might not... This might be the original... There might be... This could be the sequel? No, this is not related anyway. Okay. Alright, look. I put in Cinderella, and what came up was a movie called A Cinderella Story, Once Upon a Song. And then next to that is another Cinderella story. So I just assumed it was a sequel. It's actually not. So fucking thank the Lord. But what you are going to be watching is... It's also a romantic story. And this one, however, was made in the much earlier aughts than 2008. Have you ever heard of a movie called Summer Catch?
No.
Well, why don't you take a look at that?
Oh God.
Isaac, you're a big fan of baseball, are you not?
I like my baseball.
I know you do. So I wanted to do you a favor. After you gave me Naked, which I loved so very much, I thought, I'm going to give you a favor. I'm going to let you watch a movie about baseball.
A jealous brother, a sneering teammate, a girlfriend's scornful father. Can they derail his shot at the major leagues?
And who is he played by? Do you see that there?
Is that Freddie Prinze Jr.?
It's Freddie Prinze Jr.
Oh God, I hate his face. I hate him. No.
Also Jessica Biel.
Oh, that's Jessica Biel? Okay.
Unbelievable.
Oh God.
Yeah, so there you go. A 2001 fucking baseball romance movie. Suck my dick.
Baseball romance movie.
I don't want to talk about Selena Gomez's face is like a cube. She looks like one of the blockheads from Gumby. She's attractive. I mean, I'm a fat sack of shit, but come on.
Yeah, she had a song that was popular a year or two ago. I forget what it was called. But her music video, she's like gyrating and like got water on her. She's all wet.
Any second waiting for your wife's face to appear off screen.
All it takes for a woman to be attractive to me is to saturate her.
I mean, yeah, that's not incorrect.
I mean, you put Margaret Thatcher in a dunk tank, I'm fucking rock hard.
Margaret Thatcher in a dunk tank is the name of my next band. Do the things and kill this fucking show.
Oh, fuck's Thank you so much for listening. This was the Battles of Netflix. We hope you enjoyed yourself. We don't know why you're listening, but thank you so much. Please recommend us to your friends. Make sure to rate and subscribe. You can find us on social media. That's Facebook and Twitter. Those are both at Battles of Netflix. If you want to send us an email with any movie suggestions, or if you've seen any of these movies, you have your own experiences with them, or just any thoughts, complaints, grievances with us personally, those are both, or not both, I'm tired, fucking bowels of Netflix at gmail.com. That's bowels, not bowls, for you older listeners. Don't fuck that up. And make sure to stay tuned, because we will be back the next couple weeks with fucking Summer Catch and fucking, what's your movie even called?
Another
Selena
Cinderella
Gomez.
story.
Another Mickey Mouse story. Yeah.
Not the world. I want to get off.
So it'll be some interesting movies. So make sure to stay tuned. Every Sunday we'll have a new episode for you. Well, we'll see, because we might not survive these next couple weeks, but we'll try.
Already did.
And quick shout out to Kevin MacLeod. All of the music you've heard in this episode is from him at incompetech.com. All the details are in the description of this episode if you want to check out the songs. And if you want to use any of his music for your creative projects, you can do so for free as long as you give him credit. And yeah, make sure to rate and subscribe. We love you. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Oh, smell you later with my walrus nose face.